Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night edition of the Outer Realm. God, that's a good intro. Just gives you shivers. We are broadcasting live here on the International Public Radio and United Public Radio Network 105.3 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. The Outer Realm is fully sponsored by the amazing folks over at Folgers Coffee, who've had faith in us from the very beginning. Thank you, Folgers. The journey would not be the same without you. And tonight, again, we have another sponsor that we want to just keep pumping out. He is the guy who's responsible for the amazing intro and outro that you'll hear at the end of the show. Goes by Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon, aka Justin Snicker, who is an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music. Dr. Snick's music is available on Bandcamp, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and most streaming platforms. So thank you for your generous contribution to our show. Tonight, we welcome back Mr. Bill Bungay, owner of the UK's 30 East Drive, aka the Black Monk House, and he is being joined by Barry Dodds, and they are going to be discussing their new film. And honestly, we watched this film tonight and it was unbelievable. Definitely, I give it 5 stars, man. This thing was amazing. But
it's a must-see.
In order to participate in tonight's show, please head on over to International Public Radio and UFO Paranormal Radio. Yes, it is back. YouTube pages. But we will only be able to directly communicate with you on UFO Paranormal Radio. Tag Amelia if you've got questions or comments to make. We are streaming across, 8 different platforms, including the Outer Realm, including Canada's Most Haunted, Michelle DeRoche, all of our network stations, and of course on Twitch. And we will do our best to get back to you and make sure that we address all your comments. Hello, Mike Walker. First one in. Look at you go.
Wow. Hi, Mike.
I know. This is great. So anyway, yeah. So how was your day while we wait for the guys to chime in?
Good. I just have to make one minor adjustment, so forgive me.
Right.
There we go. Because my face is like right up there.
Got it.
Good. It was a busy day and the weather's really crappy here, but it was nice to come home and see that film and get that clip. I wasn't expecting that.
Hey,
Hi, Michael. I wasn't expecting that. So that was really cool and it was fun to watch. I don't want to talk too much about it.
No, we don't. We want to let the guys do that. Absolutely. I know that Bill is in and we're going to wait a few minutes for Barry. So maybe you want to just give a little blurb.
I will pull this intro right now, and
awesome.
We'll start. And for those of you who don't know him, and you should if you're in the paranormal, Bill Bungay is a movie maker and ad man of 25 years, a tech entrepreneur founding Velocity in 2015, and the owner of the most haunted house in the United Kingdom, the Black Monk House. Unbelievable. Barry Dodds, and we will be missing Ian Boldsworth tonight, and we miss you, Ian. We honestly do.
We do.
A comedy, yeah, they're so great together. A comedy podcast that eschews the nonsense of the paranormal community. I am reading it exactly the way that it was written, with critical thinking and shouting. 2 comedians, voice of reason, Ian Boldsworth. I might have to argue with that. And gullible believer, Barry Dodds, I think you rock. Debate the supernatural mysteries and conspiracy theories in a quest to establish the truth from fantasy. Love these guys. Oh my gosh. Love these guys.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully Bill
Absolutely.
will be getting, or Barry rather. Bill is here. We're waiting on Barry. So if we could bring Bill in, we can get the show on the road. And there we go. Hello.
Hey,
How are you?
great. Nice to see you again. How are you both?
Nice to see you.
We're well. Yeah.
Good.
How are
Fantastic.
you?
Had a lot of fun watching that film. I'm just gonna say.
Oh, I'm
Can't
absolutely
tell
thrilled.
you
Can we just do a little sound check? Is it how's my sound? Is it okay?
You sound wonderful.
Yeah, it sounds good. I'm
Is
gonna
that
change
okay?
my
We
lighting.
hear you. We see you. That is perfect.
That's good then.
Definitely.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, good. So you've watched the movie then?
Oh my gosh, yes.
From like
Yes.
moment one, since just stitches. It's like,
It
oh, this
was
is
really
going to be
good.
good.
It was really
Bring in
good.
the car. You know it's getting good from this point.
Hi, Thomas.
Yeah.
Yes. Hi, Zach. Yes. Hi, Wayne. Sorry. It's just-
Yeah, I know.
I feel like Romper Room. Remember Romper Room?
I
With the
know.
mirror.
I know.
Hi, Jeannie.
I did send Barry the link, so maybe I'm hoping he's not having connection issues. He doesn't have to be on screen if it's an issue. He can just come in through audio, whatever's easier for him. But he's not in studio yet, so we would see
Okay. I mean,
him.
I'm sure he'll be along shortly. It's obviously
No
quite early
problem.
here, so he's probably staggering around his bedroom in the dark as we speak. But,
I felt really bad.
I'm looking
felt
forward
really
to
bad.
introducing. I'm really looking forward to introducing you to him, and it is very sad that Ian can't make it tonight. He's not very well, but
I hope he feels better.
you've met Barry on screen.
Yes.
So I think you're going to really enjoy his company. He's absolutely brilliant. So yeah, it's going to be a
he
fun
really
evening.
is. Yeah, he really
my
is.
gosh.
It was really, really well done. Well, I mean, we'll start with you while we're waiting. Aside, I'd say, what have you been up to? But you've obviously been filming a really good movie. And what made you decide on this specific? Because it is a little bit out of the norm, considering, people would think ghosts and hauntings and they think serious and they think really, you're just going to fumble around, be serious, get belligerent.
Yeah.
This was nothing like that. Nothing at all.
Absolutely. Well, in fact, it's rare to see a sort of paranormal program event that has humor, as you say, Michelle. I say we because obviously, as you well know, I'm now not a skeptic. I'm a very devout believer.
Bam, there
he
is.
is. Barry Dodds.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you, Gary?
Hello. Oh, oops, sorry.
I think you got your private name up there, Barry.
Yeah.
Done that itself. Sorry.
You can change it if you'd like.
Okay.
I'm,
Go ahead.
I'm half asleep, so I've typed the wrong thing in. Sorry.
That's
Dear, oh
okay.
dear.
Oh
It
my
must have
gosh.
all failed. Hello, everyone. It's Barry Dodds
Hello. Thank you for being here with us this morning for you, tonight for us.
here. Okay.
I know. I always feel terrible when we're going across the pond because I'm just like, oh, poor guys. Just try to get everybody to have a nap before they come on. So,
Yeah, it's just too. It's so
Right.
much.
so
It's so much.
Jeannie. Oh my goodness.
So
You guys
I'll
are troopers. I don't do shows after midnight.
Oh.
You guys are
Oh, do you not?
amazing. Yeah, Michelle
do.
will, but I don't. No.
No,
Right, okay.
no, I probably do as many as I host. So,
Yeah.
Okay. So, Bill, we're gonna let you just continue on with what you're saying, and you can segue Barry on in, and we'll have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I was only sort of precursoring our chat, Barry, by saying that it is unusual to get comedy in the sort of paranormal world. I mean, it does happen, but only when there's a parody. And this isn't a parody. The extraordinary thing about this movie is that it is actually real. Nothing in the movie is faked or even scripted. It's the truth of what occurred when the boys went on the road, and the comedy is derived from the fact that Barry and Ian are actually professional comedians, and with the best will in the world, it will be impossible for them to make anything that's straight faced and serious. So
Yeah.
so we'll get to talk a bit about their incredible dynamic as the evening progresses. But yes, you're right. It is an unusual movie to make and to have made. And I'm so glad that you appreciated the comedy of it from the
Oh
off,
my
because
gosh, are
you
you
know
kidding?
it is intentional for there to be a kind of a light-hearted take on the whole sort of sort of the craziness of the world in which we spend so much time in and are so passionate about. And again, obviously we'll talk about the dynamic between Ian and Barry and why that sort of plays out often as comedy. So yes, an odd one, but one I'm super proud of.
You should be, because the field itself, being in a researcher for 18, 19 years, I'm completely relating to Barry, and I'm looking at the skeptical guy going, shut up, give it a chance. And I'm just like, but when you look at paranormal television, everything is just so demon run. It's just it's so just heavy.
Everything's so straight faced.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So how was it for you? Yeah, playing this thing.
Well, it's like Bill says, both me and Ian's background is in comedy,
right?
So it would be impossible to do something straight faced, and also the movie's just it's as much about our dynamic as it is about ghosts, really, in the way that we interact with each other and the way that we probably antagonize each other. And have you both seen the movie?
Oh yes,
I watched it.
Yeah,
I got a link
hilarious.
at 4:00 this afternoon, and I made everybody wait for dinner while I was watching it. So,
Oh really? Oh wow!
I was
Y'all
watching it, and I'm
starved.
like, cooking, stop, come back, wait, no, I can't miss this. I was laughing so hard, and I was
well
even
done.
angry with Ian a few times. I'm not gonna lie.
Why were you angry with Ian?
Because I'm probably I think I have a healthy dose of skepticism in me, even though I am a medium. I am a little skeptical, maybe a little bit more than most, but I was just like, he needs to listen to you. Just listen to him, But anyways, yeah.
Everybody
I
picks
love
on
you
the
both
skeptics.
together. I think you guys are phenomenal.
Well. That's that's what his job is to do.
Right.
He's there to pick me up and tear me to pieces, and I'm not. I don't get that precious about my beliefs, because I think that's the thing. I think if you're a bit on the fence in your beliefs and somebody has a go at you, it can strike you in the heart a little bit. Whereas if you just sure in your mind, somebody ripping it or mucking about, if you just like, oh well. And plus, with the Parapod, whenever there's been something that we've done, my first question has always been, is it funny? Like, does it? And I trust Ian's instinct on that to know where the funny is, and that's why it's been as successful as it has been. It unfortunately does mean that there are times that we're walking around in the dark and he'll be doing things like grabbing my backside when I'm not expecting it.
Don't touch me! Don't touch me!
It was amazing. I loved it. I have a comment in the chat room that I'd love to read out, if that's okay, because I think it's so fitting right now. Zach Menz in YouTube chat says, comedy and the paranormal is a very unique combination. If you guys were Monty Python, I could be your Terry Gilliam. Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I never watched that show. Zach, you're younger than me, and I've never seen it. I want to see if you respond.
Just saying.
My brother's watched
Do you know, I've never seen Monty Python. Never seen it.
No.
I've
never seen it. I've seen like bits and pieces from YouTube clips, but I've never watched an episode. And Jeannie Spencer is in Essex. She's saying hello to both of you.
Oh,
she says,
hello.
Bill, you sound like a Londoner.
I am in London.
Yeah, yes.
Well, what an honor! I've seen everything that Monty Python have ever made, and to be quoted in the same sentence as Monty Python from the off, not having seen the movie yet because it isn't officially out yet, is
Mhm.
Here's the
brilliant. So
movie.
thank you very much for that. That is
That's
amazing.
wonderful.
Yeah,
compliment.
I've seen the Holy Grail. I've seen that one. I enjoyed
Oh,
that.
yes.
And the one about Jesus, I enjoyed. No, Brian, the Life of
The
Brian.
Life
I've
of
seen that one. That was
They're both just
Yeah.
equally so funny, honestly. So I have to ask, what brought you guys to make this sort of a film? What was it about this? Did you just kind of go, let's make a comedy about the paranormal, or it's just you involved in it in somewhat, and you just thought it would be interesting? Because Bill, I mean, I know your history, especially with kind of fall into this house, like it or not.
That's
you
right.
know. How does one who owns the most haunted house in the UK go, yeah, let's make it fun? So, that's
you
a
write
new
a
thing.
comedy script around this room. Like,
Yeah,
I
you
know.
probably could. Well, I tell you, that's an opportunity for Barry to tell you a little bit
Either,
about where the
please.
Parapod came from, and I discovered something from Barry only today, actually, that just absolutely blew my mind. So I'll precursor what Barry has to say by saying, I'd like to believe that I am. I think they call them super fans of the Parapod. I'm a massive fan of the Parapod podcast.
Nice.
And it's the funniest. If you haven't listened to it, I mean, we're here to talk about the movie, but it is born off the Parapod podcast. It is the funniest podcast that I've ever heard, and you'll understand if you listen to the podcast, why it's become a movie. It sort of speaks for itself. It's brilliant and it's insightful, and there's great debate and great tension and all of the above. Everything that you'll find in the Parapod. A very British ghost hunter, of course, but Barry can tell you how it all came about.
Now I'll have to go and check it out. Absolutely.
You must. I
I
recommend it.
will. I will. You send me. Yeah.
I've had millions of downloads, millions. I mean, it's huge.
I love it. I love it.
well. The way that it all came about, the way it all started, is I was sat one day and I got an email from my friend Rachel. And she said to me, she went, because I've worked in stand-up comedy for years and years and years and years. It's always been my thing. And everybody's always known, like all my fellow comics have always known that ghosts were my thing and that I've been like ghost hunting since I was like 13 or whatever. And my friend Rachel sent me a link saying, have you heard of this house? Apparently it's the most haunted house in England. And my instant thought was, oh, that's the one on Green Lane in Enfield, the Enfield case. And she went, no, it's in Yorkshire. And at the time I lived in Leeds, and I was like, oh, Yorkshire, this is bizarre. So I looked into it a bit more, and indeed it was a house, and of course with a title like known as 30 East Drive.
Right.
It's very Googleable, and you can even Google Street View. But I can remember going on the Street View and like trying to find where this most haunted house was. But I thought it sounded really interesting and sort of on the doorstep because I'm a northerner, and I just tried finding out who owned this house, and I was like, who's this Bill guy? And I even like rang up Bill's work, like rang this company in London going, hello, does one of you own a haunted house? And whoever answered the phone was like,
I'm not a stalker, really. Really, I'm not.
It was really bizarre, and then eventually I managed to get put on the right channels, and because I've had the mickey taken out of me so much over the years by other comics, I thought, well, it's time. I'm going to try and make them put their money where their mouth is. And I said, who wants to come and spend the night in this haunted house? And there's about 10 comics said, yeah, all right, yeah, we're up for it. So I took them. I arranged it all, and there was a website in the UK called Chortle, a comedy website. Sort of made a bit of a piece on it, which was all these comedians going into the most haunted house in England. And there was another comic called Ian Boldsworth, who was somebody who I worked with quite a few times, and I was aware of his previous work. I was a fan of his previous work, and he had a radio show, and he said to me, he went, listen, I want to get you on my radio show to, talk about what you're doing in this haunted house. I said, okay. Now, when it came to do the actual interview, I actually missed it. I didn't have a phone signal. So Ian was live on his radio show trying to get in touch with me, and he couldn't get through to my phone. And him and his producer were going mad. And eventually I spoke to Ian the following week, and Ian said to me, Ian went, right, your punishment for missing that one interview is you've got to be on my radio show every week now. You've got to come on every week promoting this ghost hunt. Even after you've finished, you've got to come on doing it.
Wow.
So I did. So I went on Ian's radio show every week, and then it went from there. So went from knowing each other on the circuit to then knowing each other through his radio show, then speaking privately, and I was telling him about ghosts in private. And he just said one day, he went, I think there's a podcast in this. So we sat down to record something, and it just took off really fast. It just grabbed people, my belief and my passion for it, and his not so much belief and not so much passion for it. And it was great. And then, of course, at the end of series 1, I thought I've got to take Ian into a haunted house. That's got to be the last podcast, is us going ghost hunting for the night. So I thought, oh, well, I'll ask that bloke who owns that haunted house in Yorkshire again if I can take my podcast comedian pal in as well, which again led to Bill. And Bill kindly said, oh, of course you're going into the house, and you're doing this for your podcast, so that go and do it. What's your podcast called? And I said to Bill, it's called Parapod. Cut forward 3 series. By this point, Bill's now listening to it on a regular basis. Podcast's been well established, and we're trying to work out what we're going to do next. And in fact, it was between series 2 and series 3, and we were like, let's try and make like a TV pilot. Let's try and move this on. What's the next step from podcasting? It's to do it on the TV. So again, I got in touch with Bill and said, Bill, can we go back in your house again, please, for free? And Bill went, yeah, cool. Bill at this time really into the Parapod, speaking to me regularly about it. And we were filming the TV pilot, and Ian, we were outside, and Ian said, I don't think this is a TV show. I think this is a movie, because you can't do this just every week. This is about one long journey about you trying to convince me. This is a movie. And I was like, well, how do you make a movie? And of course, we're stood in the house owned by a movie producer. So
right. That's convenient.
This is just, and it sounds contrived, but honestly, that's how it happened. And it was like real serendipity. It was just meant to be. And then Bill, our listeners started off funding the movie, and then Bill came on board as the producer and really made it, the big thing that it is now. And, and now we're in a position where this movie's out, after years and years of hard work, especially by Ian, like Ian, my co-host, for the person who's the skeptical and think ghosts are all rubbish. He's devoted years of his life to the paranormal in the telling of this story. So,
and he's true blue skeptic.
Oh, he's completely skeptical. He
Wow.
thinks it.
Really?
In fact, as I recall, Barry, the first time he took Ian to 30 East Drive, he turned up in a full Ghostbusters outfit.
He did. He did.
I love it.
Of course he did.
Oh my gosh, I want to meet you guys. That must be
thing.
so much fun.
It's just
I've
hilarious.
still got it on.
And bear in mind the podcast, it was just audio, so no one was ever going to get to see the picture. But he still turned up.
Just to wind me up.
Quid on an outfit.
It's just to get him in the mood, right? Just to get him right. Get that.
Getting him all primed up. Yeah.
Shoot
some butt grabbing. I don't know.
Oh, it's so funny. I love you guys in this. I love my favorite scene, without giving anything away. I'm just gonna say it right here. One of my favorite scenes was the church and you.
Oh yes.
That's my favorite scene.
Died with that. I did not see that coming. But
In fact, maybe I could just put, because obviously we're here to chat a bit about the movie, but if I may, there's a really significant point other than Barry, sort of, and his mindset when he needs to go to that church. But the significant point is when you make a movie, the most important thing for you to have is a narrative. Before you have anything else, you need a story to tell. And we did something. I mean, any movie maker would consider it, pretty bonkers to do what we did, which was we set about filming this without a script. So that there was no script, which then meant that there was no narrative, and so we were just filming. And in fact, the brief to the boys, I mean, I had, obviously as a fan of the Parapod, I had no doubt really that they could turn their dynamic into something compelling and potentially into movie, but you still needed a narrative, and my gamble was that a narrative would present itself, and there's a moment in the movie, without giving too much away, where it does, and the without again trying to give too much away, we in effect lose Barry, and suddenly we don't have a movie anymore because Barry's gone. And that's real. So the church scene is as a direct result of something very profound that happens to Barry.
Wow.
And very real. And actually, you can tell in the way that Ian reacts, because he is someone that naturally wants to kind of play up and have fun. In all these spooky environments, there's nothing funnier in a way than to go boo in a haunted house. That's the simplest of gags, and he wants to do that. But at this time, when Barry has an experience, shall we say, Ian's tone turns to one of concern, and in fact, I can, behind the scenes, you don't see this. Ian actually calls me straight after the thing that happens. And explains to me that he's now worried, not only for the movie but also for Barry. So there's something incredibly profound. There's lots of profound things in the Parapod movie, but there's something phenomenally profound that happens. And maybe, I mean, without giving too much away, I think Barry can kind of give a sense of his mindset at that point, because as I say, it is a movie, but it's also a documentary because it is real. So it's really something.
Absolutely.
I think that church scene, I think that's my favorite scene in it as well. Firstly, because it's probably the scene that's most like the podcast. It's the most Parapod bit of the movie, in that it's me and Ian having a back and forth discussion, and it's not scripted. It's just us, literally just bouncing off each other. But like Bill says, something, it's that there was no narrative when we started. I mean, Ian as the director probably had an idea of the path that he wanted it to take. But the bravery in kind of saying, well, let's just see what happens. I mean, there's no other producers in the world that I would know who would just have faith that something good will come out of it, and to support a project that you just hope is going to go well with no script. And thankfully there are twists and turns along the way that make this story different, and you can tell when the tone changes a lot. But I really like that church scene, because I think that's when it comes after a fairly serious point, and I think it really brings the humor back into it, and it sort of re-establishes mine and Ian's dynamic. It's I really like that scene. I still don't know what church I was in.
You know what
I know I'm doing all that, but
that was I was on the floor laughing. You know what I loved about it was the conversation between you, and I will only say one word because I don't want to give away, and they're already asking in the chat room how to see this film, by
How
the
to
way.
get to the movie. Yeah.
They're already
Brilliant.
when can I see it, how can I see it is in the chat room. what I loved was your response to him when you said blanket, and that's all I'm going to say, because that is actually common when someone is affected by something who doesn't have a
Blanket.
faith. Yes. You'll understand it more later. I don't want to give it away because I don't want people to
But I was
miss that
there. I don't
laugh.
get it.
I
My
don't
memory's
want, I don't
awful.
want them to
Sorry.
miss. It's
No.
okay. So is mine. I
know.
just watched it a few hours ago, so I'm good. But
Yeah.
it's the way you responded about the church, and you
Oh.
said, you know, like a blanket. And I'm like, oh my gosh, people really do react like that don't already belong to a church. So you weren't far off.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm.
I couldn't stop laughing those few minutes. Right, I couldn't stop laughing most of the movie, you know.
That's
and
true.
and in the film, I jumped a few times with you, but I start out
Yeah,
easy, so I jumped a few times.
There's I think me and Ian, because you know Ian's watched it 1,000 times now because he's worked so closely with it, and I've seen it a few times because we're on tour in the UK with it, going around some cinemas. We're coming to the end of that tour now, but I've seen it a few times, and you sort of forget that, you know, these people saying it for the first time, that there might be scary bits in it. So, you know, I'm watching it, and that I'm sure Ian filmed an audience once from the back of the room on his phone. And so I was watching the audience, and literally everybody jumped. It was like, oh, I forgot that that's scary. It's like, you know, the people who made the Conjuring movies mustn't. It must be like water off a duck's back when the scary things happen. But then you see it with fresh eyes for the first time, and it's like, you know.
Yeah, but
so yeah, it was interesting
like that
seeing people.
it was just sort of raw. Like you didn't really hold back. It's like something startled you or whatever. It's like, reminded me of another UK celebrity of a haunted show that panicking. It's like,
oh, go on.
I won't say it. I'm not going to say it on there. No, I'm just like, there we go. That's what I wait for every freaking week. So,
all right, I think I can guess it.
Funnier, you know, with a British accent. Also, I find, like, do you guys sort of worry that in a way, when you come breaking through this side of the world, that people will find it as popular? Because I'm a total BBC. I love British television. I do. I always have.
Yeah,
so I have it. I have American television. I have to have the BBC. I have to watch. Yeah, you know,
in Canada, it just comes in the package. Because I think it was one of the requirements from the Queen.
I know.
Probably.
And Wayne always,
you know,
his family's British, so he throws off an accent, and I'm like in stitches. He goes, everything's funnier when it's British. As I know, it just seems to be. Yes. You're not wrong. So
I haven't really got a stereotypical British accent because I'm from the northeast of England. Have you heard of somewhere called Gateshead?
What you have to understand, Barry, is that to Canadians, all of England is British. That's just
right. Yeah. Oh well,
it's just when they're speaking, they say British accent. They think the whole island, right? We all sound like that, but it's just a reference, and we should correct that. I think I need to correct that. I'm bad.
I was just wondering if the US will know what a Geordie is. Do you know what a Geordie is?
I joke, please.
No. I know very
love to hear
few
all
words.
the British mannerisms. Like wanker just keeps throwing me in stitches. I don't know what it is about
Wanker's
wanker,
still
but I
funny.
Love
Dodgy, I like. I like
funny.
crikey.
Wanker.
Crikey, dodgy, wanker. I love those.
It's just so benign.
I don't think we say
maybe I'm not
first
supposed
one.
to say puff. Is puff a bad word? Is puff a bad word?
So throw us a few British mannerisms. Translate.
A few British mannerisms. Well, Geordie is what would refer to me. I'm a mix of Northumbrian and Gateshead, so up in the northeast of England, which is sort of a stereotypical working class sort of place, a place where, you know, they would have went down the pits back in the day mining for coal and things like that. So it's you know, very, it's known as being, you know, party hard, work hard, so sort of place. So that's my background, but the accent's quite. I don't. I mean, I'm trying to be as British as I can.
I was going to say, you've really softened your
No,
accent,
just-
haven't you?
I've
Just
really
be
softened it.
yourself, but just be yourself.
So-
Are you?
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry, are you?
Well, if I was back in Northumberland, you know, my accent would go different. Like it would go a lot deeper, like that,
Right.
and you would like certain, you know, like deeper, like you know, you'd like there's no er, it's all an a.
Right.
So
Yes.
Newcastle, Gateshead, ghosts, not ghosts,
Book.
ghosts.
Oh, see, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, book,
Me too. I love it.
photocopier, Motorola. It's just like a weird
Yeah.
accent. I was thinking,
It's
well, the
very
Americans
easy.
just going to think, has that fat one had a stroke? You know, they're going to be like,
No, we're Canadian. We're used to it because there's so many of you here. Like one of my best friends who is in the States is from Edinburgh, and if I can understand him, I can understand anything. Seriously,
oh,
Yeah.
Edinburgh's a beautiful accent.
it is.
I think
It
it's,
is. But he speaks very
it's,
quickly.
It's like Wayne says,
ah,
person's megs are their teeth.
Megs?
Ah.
Megs. If you say megs,
Yeah.
British, yeah, it means teeth.
Yeah.
He's always
Oh, wow.
throwing British words at me, and he'll give me a definition. Like, I have to use that. I really have to remember that. I just throw wanker around like it's a freaking like everyday word.
The one that threw
It
me
came up in the
was
movie. I'm like, I love
the
this
one that
movie.
threw
This
me
helps.
the most,
oh,
which
do you
was
not
so
say that
silly,
in
is
America or
crisps.
Canada?
It's crisps.
Crisps.
I was waiting for crackers. For the Relic guys, I was hearing crisps all the time because of Hamilton,
Crisps, yeah,
and it
crisps.
ended up being potato chips. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's okay. We have the same thing in Italy, you know, being the
We're
southern
learning.
part is much like you, Barry, coming from the north. The southern part of Italy is like the worker bee, and the northern part is more the educated and the financial. But I quite
But people
understand
think
that.
we have accents. I remember using. Are you familiar with the spirit box,
Yeah.
Barry and Bill?
Yes.
I was using the spirit box one time, and the spirit came through, and I spoke, and it went,
Packet of
"It's the
crisps.
queen." I was like, "What?"
No.
Yeah,
She's alive.
I had
Probably, it was probably
I know,
somebody
it's
from
the
like
queen. I'm like,
Alabama.
dark
listening.
well, maybe, but definitely not of England.
Probably somebody from the deep south of the U.S. because they
I
think
don't
we
know.
sound that way. I'm like, we don't sound anything like her.
Yeah, I was just like, what?
No,
But no,
we
but
speak
people
so
have
much
said
faster.
in traveling, "Oh, you have an accent." I was like, "Really? Do we have an accent? Maybe." I didn't think Canadians had an accent.
I think
French
that
Canadians.
There's certain regions in Canada that have accents. I mean, we have
That's
the
true.
East Coast. The Maritimes have accents. Alberta has a southern drawl, even though they're north. But yet they have a southern drawl because they're all.
I'll
there's
travel
lots of
abroad. I
cowboys
don't
there.
travel in my own country. It's
Yeah,
terrible.
well, you know, but anyways, yeah, there's
I don't know.
4 major accents in Canada, and French being the first.
And none of them sound like the Queen. I can assure you.
But when he says you sound like the Queen.
No. So,
In fact, could you there's a bit in the film where we talk to a lady who lives very close to East Drive, Carol.
next door.
Lives next door. Yeah. Did you see the bit with Carol, the medium who I take in? Could you understand her accent?
Yes, I have a lot
Yeah.
of friends in the UK. I have friends in Cornwall. That's got to help you. I can understand them. So
Right.
I'm doing well. Yes.
no. No.
Yeah, Carol's a big bit of the film, and I think the people who were fans of the Parapod are aware of Carol as well, because when we recorded the Parapod 2-part special, we just by luck the neighbor Carol was free, and Ian said, "Do you mind if I interview you?" And Ian, being a fiery skeptic, meets Carol, the fiery believer, and it was a good,
It's good.
not argument. It was as close to debate, as close as you can get to argument without a fallout. And so when that went out, it was like we've got to get Carol in the movie. And it's great in the cinema, when you can hear, like, as soon as Carol appears, you can hear people go like, "Oh, here we go. She's got this is here we go." And she's
It's a bit thick.
she's a real highlight of it, I think, Carol. Because she doesn't hold back for me, and she
yeah.
really goes for him, and he really goes for her as well. I think that's a really good bit of the movie, because she's she's like a concentrated believer. I'm a believer, but she's like,
Well, I mean, she's lived
super
next.
hardcore.
She's lived next door to 30 East Drive for like decades. So she met the original owners, the ones that I bought the house of, and her partner, I think he was maybe even born in the house. He's lived there all his life. So they've for them it's I mean, it still frightens them. And Carol and her partner Darren look after the property for me. So they go in there, daily, and they still won't go in there on their own, so they're accustomed to the house, and they've seen so many things and experienced so many things. They still have the fear, which intrigues me, so the things that they've experienced have been, right across the spectrum. But importantly, when you've experienced that much stuff, you do become a resolute believer, and as Barry rightly said, your confidence doesn't get shaken by the skeptic, by people that want to take, that call you the fool, because you know what you've seen, and that's the that's a really key point. And in fact, if anything, I mean, obviously that's why Barry's sat in the seat that he's sat in, but it's also why I agreed to make a movie with, let's call him, and proudly so, one of the UK's sort of most hardened skeptics. He's a very vocal and public skeptic. Ian is, and for me, I'm so confident in my own experience. It doesn't worry me in the slightest that he might, take a poke at me or at the house or.
But you were in his shoes at one time.
Well, that's it. You're absolutely right, Michelle, and that's obviously another thing that intrigues me, is that I have quite literally sat, very, comprehensively in both camps. I made When the Lights Went Out, my first movie about 30 East Drive, as a skeptic, which might seem odd, but I was just buying into a storyline, which was Poltergeist moves into a council house, a tiny little kind of state-owned house, and I just made it as a skeptic. So I was firmly in that camp until I ended up sort of inadvertently, accidentally, shall we say, purchasing 30 East Drive, and
accidentally.
Then accidentally.
All right.
Oops.
I just accidentally buy all kinds of haunted stuff.
Yeah.
Did anyone warn you, Bill, when you bought the house? Did anybody sort of warn you about what you were getting into?
No, I mean that was so amusing. No, the agent that was representing the property, they didn't mention it at all. I don't know whether they broke a law there or not, but
That's what I was going to say. Don't they have to disclose it? I'm sorry, one of the most haunted houses in England. Oops, forgot to tell you.
I mean, even just, I mean, maybe I should have said. I mean, I should have. I was going to buy it regardless, so I should maybe in retrospect, should have said, why hasn't it sold in 4 years?
Yeah, that might have been a bit of a.
I should maybe have asked the question.
Red flag.
Sadly,
Pontefract.
Yeah,
right.
The one thing, Pontefract. The one thing we're so cruel at Ponty. So the people there are incredible, but it is an unusual place, and I absolutely love visiting, and I love the people that are there. They're just they are so interesting. They're just such characterful people, and so that wouldn't have put me off either. But what was in the house might have deserved a mention, I think. So yeah, the thing that tickled me at the time was the head office for the agency that sold me the house was in Goole.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
That's a sign.
There was a clue.
Well,
there was a clue.
A little bit.
When I first went to 30 East Drive, I remember not feeling a fear, because Pontefract, and particularly the Chesterfield estate where it is, it's very, very similar to the northeast. It's very similar to where I'm from, so it had this almost comforting, like oh, this is just
Bruce feels
like,
all warm and
this
fuzzy,
is
right?
yeah, and the people again, Pontefract, a mining town, and so it felt very familiar. And then then you step inside the house, and I personally just feel like, oh God, and my stomach sinks. Whereas
What did I just
Ian
do?
exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
and Ian walks in, and his stomach sinks mainly because he sees me in it with a K2 meter, and he's like, oh God, this again.
What's he doing?
Are we doing this again? Seriously? So, no,
There's points in the film where Ian gets exasperated, where I watched some of it again in Glasgow the other night, where he's literally just got his head just leaning in his arms, just completely, just like this. It was when I was looking for a mummified cat in the ancient Ram in Gloucester, because they've got one. Because did you know we used to do that here? We used to put cats in walls.
Yeah,
really?
We did. We did. It was
Mummified? But they were mummified? How do you mummify a cat?
put it in a wall.
yeah. It
No,
wasn't
but you
mummified when it went in.
mummifying is a process for the dead. It's not just putting it in a
No,
wall.
put him deep enough in the sand and let him just dust.
No, it was in a wall.
I think they actually put lime in the walls, don't they? So it just dries out the cat. I think. When it's
Yeah,
in
it
there.
just dries it, and it's sort of like
preserves
just
it.
frozen in the position it was put in. They used to put live cats into the walls of houses to keep witches away.
Oh,
And so,
for the love of God. Sorry.
So in these really old places like the ancient Rams, when they start going into walls and things, there'll regularly be a cat found in there that was like an old superstition.
Poor thing just died screaming and suffering.
Well, yeah, I know we shouldn't laugh because animal cruelty is a bad thing, but I've just got this image of this kind of medieval plasterer trying to get a cat in a wall and trying to plaster.
Yeah, not an easy.
Plaster over
Not
a
even
cat.
that one in a bath.
Keep still.
Ancient times or modern.
Witches.
No, exactly. Cats like no.
Wow.
Have you put anything in the walls of East Drive, Bill?
Absolutely not. In fact, there might be a cat.
Could try with Ian. You could put Ian in there and see how that turns out.
Neither me or Ian would fit into any of those walls.
No, in fact, Barry will probably know that for a long time we I think it's sort of stopped of late because now people know that it's not a kind of a Disney exhibit, But for years we had people trying to peel the wallpaper back and lifting the carpets to try and find the machinery that was making the bangs and the bumps and the noises. And all the rest
you're kidding. Well, it's because they see so much bull on TV, right? So they think, what's he trying to do? Yeah,
exactly. So so we had to sort of put out an announcement that said, look, can you just please stop doing that? We really haven't rigged the house. If you hear something, there's either a rational explanation for it or it's something else, but it's not machinery. It's not we haven't rigged it up.
Yeah, don't tear my house apart. Come home, it's redecorated, renoed.
Oh gosh, yeah, we've had to repair a lot.
Mummified cats. One was found here. It was actually air dried in the house.
In your house?
But I'm sure it died before it went in there.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I can assure you, Wayne or myself stuffed it in the house. It's an old house.
No, that's my point. You don't put them in there alive.
There you go. Okay, gonna go get one.
We're gonna go get
if I knew where ours was, I'd dig it out too. We do a show and tell them freaking mummified cats. Next time.
Should I tell you my? Should I tell you my sort of mummified cat story while Barry's away?
Of course.
Years ago, I had
genuinely, it was my cat scratching at the door trying to get in the room. Honestly,
never was. Oh, that's funny.
Go ahead, Bill.
This is a slight. Oh, look at the body down.
Look at eyes.
Beautiful blue eyes.
Yeah.
Beautiful eyes. No, this is slightly off topic, but years ago I used to have a mongoose, which is it's an Asian cat, and it's they chase snakes, these things.
Yes.
And that was my pet.
Wow, they're really violent.
It bit everyone in the family apart from me. Violent. And then one day I came home and it wasn't there anymore, and my dad was like, died. And I'm like, what do you mean it died? It was like practically a kitten. And he went, died. And I went, oh, well, I was very sad for like, a couple of weeks, and that was the end of it. 25 years later, I'm going around my uncle's loft, and there on a plinth is my flipping mongoose stuffed on a plinth.
Oh, it's a terrible thing to do to a child.
So my dad killed him, had him flipping taxidermied, and had the temerity to ship him back to the UK. We were living in Singapore.
Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something, Bill? That could be why you led up to. That could be why you led up to buy the most haunted house in UK, because of your traumatic childhood.
Traumatized as a child. Somebody stole your mongoose and killed it. That's terrible.
That explains a lot. That explains a lot. I'm just saying.
I'm surrounded by taxidermy.
As well,
We have taxidermy all over the house.
Oh,
I suspect my dad actually taxidermied him as well.
Wow.
Go into Michelle's parlor. She has a peacock. It's
all kinds
doesn't
of
startle me at all every time I walk in. Not at all.
Penguin, crows, eagle, or not eagles, hawks, fox, wolves. Yeah, I'm a weirdo.
The
I
ancient
admit it openly.
Oh gosh!
I mean, I'm in my house. This is part of my house. This is for real.
Your house is pretty weird, Michelle.
It is very weird.
It's amazing.
But
is
in
that
a
a
good
throne?
way. It's a good weird.
You're sat on a throne as well, aren't you? Look at that. It's extraordinary.
Thank you.
Piece of woodwork.
Yeah,
that's
it's one of
the queens. That's where the queen sits.
So
does
old
she
that
not?
I can't sit on it. Some are though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Producers love to film here. Actually, we have a lot of shows that used to film here before the pandemic. I have filmed here several times. Also, is very active in film. And once they got a hold of this house, even the producers, everybody was just taking pictures of everything. I'm like, please don't let that get online, because we used to be on a bus tour, and people would come in and think the house is a facade. Like, guy, it's a house.
I walked into her home while she was sitting at the table. Were you at the table or in the kitchen when they walked in? That was probably the last time you left your front door open.
No. Victor Wayne was sitting on the veranda. We had
bus driver let him off the bus. Sure, go in and take photos.
I know. Some guy just walks in and he's like, "Is it just a facade?"
It's like, no, it's a house.
So yeah,
have either of you been over to the UK?
Yes, I have. I love the UK. I have family in the UK.
Have you been ghost hunting over here?
No, not so much that. I did go when I was in Scotland. Of course, I did the City of the Dead tours, because I stay in haunted places all over the world when I travel. It's sort of a prerequisite. Has to be really old and haunted. But I did the City of the Dead tours, and I'm going to say that again, City of the Dead tours, because I really enjoyed promoting them. It was an interesting experience, I think, especially if you like history, the historical history. Like, to me, the historical stories behind everything that's happening is, to me, is the most fascinating part. I think it was a little disappointing for him, because they had a guy who went around and just like trying to scare people.
Oh gosh!
And I didn't scare. I would just look him in the face.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done that tour a few times, the City of the Dead tour, and I do like it because you get the sort of up top tour walking around Edinburgh. Now they do a bit where you go down into some
I did go
under.
And
then you go. Did you go obviously to the graveyard at the end?
Oh, that's where he was trying to scare me. I looked at him. I went
into the
Sorry.
Well, when we were filming, we were in, and I'm not going to say too much about the location because it would be spoilery, but we were in the vaults in Edinburgh, and I think they are some of the most intensely frightening places on earth.
I think imagine.
I mean, it's the history. I mean, you forget, people lived in them. People died in them, and all manner of things went on. In the pitch black as well, because in Edinburgh, if you could afford a candle, then you could afford not to be living in the vaults of South Bridge. So
it was all within the Royal Mile. It was horrific.
Yeah,
You know?
it's all underneath that sort of area, and of course there
Mhm.
was Burke and Hare who were,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
needed a fresh supply of bodies, and somebody going missing from one of the vaults in Edinburgh, no one was going to miss them.
Nobody was going to
You
miss them. And people don't realize, for those of you who want to visit Scotland, it is beautiful. But if you look back then, when they were putting these buildings together, there's human bone in them. You have walls
Mm.
along some of these big buildings within the Royal Mile, and there's bone chips in them. They were just, and people, you're not aware of that. Like, it's got a really dark history. It's really quite sad.
Well, also in Edinburgh, one of the big sort of tourist spots is Prince's Gardens, which is on, because there's like the old town of Edinburgh and the new town. Edinburgh's like two hills, and in the middle there's
Yes.
this big dip, and in the
Yes.
middle it's Prince's Gardens, and people go and sit there. It's lovely on a summer's day, and sit and have a picnic in this beautiful scenery. That originally was the Norloch, so that's why Edinburgh was known as Auld Reekie, because it stank because of this lock there, where all the sewage from both sides would just run into this lock. And it was where they'd throw bodies, and it's where they would they do the throw a suspected witch in there and see if she floated.
One way or another, you're not coming back.
Exactly. So all this happened around there, and then you've got these vaults hidden inside one of the hills, which is where we were in when we were making the movie. And you get a good idea from the film what it's like in there. It is so dark and oppressive, and it really scary in there. It's really scary.
It really is. And as sorry, you have a question
here before we go too far off topic for this meeting.
Yeah,
Wayne Mellows asks, can you ask the lads?
The lads.
where he's from about activity on demand. I mean, they're filming a movie on a timeline. So was the activity cooperative?
No.
I don't know. Say what? Come again?
No.
Should have used your accent.
It was. I tried and tried and tried to get things to happen to prove to Ian that ghosts exist, and you'll see in the movie the increasing desperation that I went through, and things happen when you don't expect it.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
It's true.
But no, it didn't cooperate. Ghosts don't work on demand. It's that I was saying to Bill earlier. You go into East Drive and you start saying, "Is there anyone there? Can you knock? Can you make a noise?" And it doesn't play by. It's not a performing monkey.
But do you think
do what it wants when it
look
wants.
at you like you're silly? Because
I'm used to that.
Is there anybody? Is there anybody here? And the ghost is looking at you, going,
I'm right in front of you, buddy.
right here. I'm right here. Yeah, I wonder, like, from their perspective, from how they see things. If you're looking and you're in an intelligent haunting, the spirit is completely aware of what you're saying. They can interact. They'll respond to you intelligently. So if you're saying, is there anybody here? Let's say, because not everybody's, they're not switched on, or they don't have the gift of sight. And you're saying, is there anybody here? And you've got a spirit standing there looking at you going,
yeah.
Are they thinking, wanker? Am I answering you? Or are they thinking, so I have to say it, I love it. So
they must get sick of getting asked the same questions, is what I think. If you look at something like East Drive, then and I'm as guilty of it as anyone, whatever's in there must be really sick of getting the constant every night. Can you make a noise? Can you throw something? Are you a male spirit? Are you a female? So you can't really blame whatever it is for going, you know what, I'm not playing your games anymore. I'm just leaving you to it. I'll let you know I'm here when I'm ready, and you don't expect it.
Yeah. Well, he asked because he does live in he does live in a haunted house, and the activity is rarely predictable. Is really predictable. Rarely. I need new glasses.
It's true. Whenever we would film here, we would
Yeah.
tell the spirits of the house. We would say, okay, there's going to be some film here. If you want to interact, feel free. If you don't,
Yeah.
don't. I mean, one night they just, and ironically, it was a comedic, the only other one I've seen, but a TV series on the paranormal. They spent the night here. There were coins dropping from the ceiling.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
They went out to dinner, and the crew, everybody went out to dinner. It was all running around upstairs. And went, did somebody stay behind? No, and they caught the coins just coming from the ceiling. They were just like,
Wow.
I'm like, I got nothing. I've never done that before.
Wow.
So, you can't predict it. It's just,
We're best
know.
friends, and I've never stepped over. Just saying.
You're always welcome.
Yes, I know. I'm welcome. Thank you.
So no, I don't
I
think
crawl into bed with you.
It's a benign haunting. It's I don't allow meanies. No, but I think you're right. I think they have to get a little bit perturbed with the constant, the same everything. I always try to be creative and questioning, and it's hard with a skeptic on your heels. I'll say that. It's just
Yeah.
it is hard. But
It's
I
what
think
you need, though. I think it's. I think. I mean, obviously, Bill owns 30 East Drive,
Yes.
and surely the most counterproductive thing in the world for him to do for his business would be to put a hardened skeptic into his house to debunk it and try and tell the world it's not haunted. But those are, I think, important discussions to have as well, because I personally get very bored by certain TV shows where they go in and they get activity every time they do a show, because it just makes me think that doesn't happen. So this has got to be staged and faked, and you've got to have somebody else asking questions. And there is one TV show that I won't name, and they do have like a parapsychologist there who'll quietly just say, oh, I'm not getting any readings, or they'll approach things from a scientific view, but they never question or put that person under pressure, or they never, everything seems so geared towards the believers. And that's why I think, like with our film, it's important to have that critical voice in there, and it's important to have a critical voice in East Drive. Otherwise you would just think, well, everybody says that it's haunted, and not everybody can experience something. So
you're correct. Not everybody, no matter how haunted a place may be, not everyone is meant to experience something for whatever reason. It's like you get those who experience things everywhere they go, and you get those that no matter, they beg for it and they never get it. So I take it, Barry, you've had experiences. I mean, Bill's had all kinds of experiences just in that house alone. But have you had experiences like throughout your life that's led you to your interest in the paranormal?
I've always been honest about this one, because what I'll say is because obviously the movie is about our journey to try and find something. So I'll answer that question up till the point where we started making the movie. Otherwise, it gives away whether we found it or not.
Wherever you're comfortable with, Like I just said, some people say as a child I had an experience and it piqued my interest. I'm just trying to figure out where it sort of piqued your interest, I guess.
Well, I used to get told ghost stories when I was little. My cousin used to tell me ghost stories when I used to go and stay at my nana's in Northumberland, and they used to really scare me. But I got that rush of that fear.
That's what cousins are for. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, terrifying. And as I got a bit older, I that sort of curiosity and interest, and it never went away. And then I just remember being really young and thinking, let's go and spend the night somewhere properly haunted. And I did it, and it was the most frightening night of my life. And I was utterly addicted from that point forward.
Isn't that funny? I mean, not funny that you were terrified, but I mean, that horrific, terrifying experience. Like, what is it? Is this like a thrill-seeking thing? For
I think so. It's like when you go on a roller coaster, you're scared because you're going fast and you're getting thrown
You're
around.
giddy and you
But
wait for it. I know.
yeah, and you've got that safety net of having, the bars over you. You're not going to
Right.
fall out. But
Right.
with ghost hunting, when you're doing it, you're getting the rush and you're getting the thrills, but there's no safety bars. So what happens if you get what you wish for?
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I've had up to the I've always been honest and said that I'd never seen a ghost, never seen one, never seen a ghost, and it was something that I enjoyed the thrill of, the chase of, and I'd seen things happen. I'd seen things thrown. I saw something get thrown up in Chillingham Castle. I saw
Of course
a
you
brass
would.
peacock.
Chillingham Castle.
Yeah. Do you know Chillingham?
Oh, I know it. I've not had the pleasure of going to this point, but no, I know it well. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've had a lot of friends
I
who've
go.
been.
Yeah, I tend to go. I mean, I'd go like every year on my birthday. I would always go.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, it was great fun, and and it's as much a holiday as it is anything else because it's a beautiful part of the country. But I've seen something get thrown in there, like in the room, like this brass peacock get thrown, and I've been in East Drive, stood talking to a friend, and a stone just dropped between us.
Yes, yeah.
And we were like, "Where's that come from?" Because it wasn't thrown, and it was
No,
and we
it's like it
just had the
manifested.
ceiling. Yeah, it just
Yeah.
like appeared above us and then dropped. We were
That's an amazing
that?
phenomenon, don't you think? Like to something just materialize out of thin air like that.
Oh, it's amazing.
Utterly baffling. Utterly baffling. I mean, have you heard Bill's story about what happened in there?
Yes, but tell it again for anyone who didn't tune in the first time.
Yeah, well, I mean that's really the kind of the moment where I switched from skeptic to believer. I'd had lots of little things happen. I thought, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. I had nothing really tangible until one day. It was Valentine's Day 2016. It was a Sunday. I will never forget the day. And I'm stood at the sink, just washing some cups. And anyone that knows the history of East Drive, there's been some really amazing things happen just at the sink. In fact, the Black Monk actually appeared behind Jean Pritchard once. That's when she realized that perhaps it was a monk that was in the house and just stood behind her. You can imagine how intense that must have been for her. And I'm stood at the same sink washing cups, and I just feel the instinct to turn. And I turn and look into the corner, and it's a tiny house, so you everything is visible. And this object just appears in thin air, just pops into existence, and is thrown at my head ballistically. It's coming so fast that I don't have time to react. And it goes around my head, bounces off the window, and lands at my feet. And it's a domino. And,
wow.
And I just, I can't say what I said on air, but needless to say, I was completely freaked out. And
right.
I said, thank you. I've always wanted to see that. Now, how the hell did you do that?
Good for you.
And I spent the next 2 hours being bombarded by small objects. It was really quite, it doesn't get any more profound than that. And that's why I ended up writing the Black Monk of Pontefract book with Richard Estep. But,
right.
yes. that when that happens to you, I guess in my head, going back to Barry's point about why would I invite a kind of hardened skeptic into my house, someone that could, that would potentially want to trash it all because he doesn't believe. I guess in my head, I'm thinking, well, there's an outside chance that might happen. That might happen to Ian. But with my luck, the chances were that it would happen to Barry and not Ian.
Barry's like, yeah.
But I know what happened to me, and obviously there are quite literally hundreds, if not verging on thousands of eyewitness accounts, experiences of all sorts of different kinds, witnessed by people that really don't know as much about the house as now do. So, for me, there is absolutely no doubt that there is something profound happening in that house. Now, if you want to get into the debate as to what it is, I mean, that's really Barry's domain in the Parapod cast. But I think the jury's out on I think it's probably too simple, even though it's bizarre, to say this is just something dead that's still alive. And I really love theoretical physics, and it's phenomenally complicated, but what limited understanding I have offers us clues as to the truth of how things are, and I personally think that there's a dimensional event occurring, and it's not just at East Drive, it's happening all over the world, and so I think it's something more profound, if there can be such a thing, than just a spirit. I think it's something else.
Parallel universes, right? As my producer Joe would say, dimensional bleed through.
Well, I mean, I love that. Oh, I might have to borrow that. That's a fantastic
okay, Joe. There you go. Look,
Joe's going to come on and talk to you now and tell you all about the legalities of taking a coin phrase.
We talk about ghosts, and I'll go, "Oh, you mean dimensional bleed through?" And he's just like, "Shut up."
I love that, because I may have said this on your the last time we met, but it is such a great analogy from a Japanese American physicist. He's an absolute genius. His name's Michio Kaku.
Oh, yes.
I'm a massive fan of his. I'd love to meet him one day. But he has the amazing ability of kind of simplifying very complex themes. And he says, speaking about dimensional, kind of bleeding or what have you. He says, well, why is it so difficult for you to believe in a fourth dimension, in the reality of a fourth dimension? And he goes, imagine a fish swimming in a pond. He said, it's in a three-dimensional space, but if you put your hand into the pond and take the fish out of the pond, it goes, what the heck? Because it's left its three-dimensional space and exited into a fourth dimension that we occupy. And what's more, it can't survive here. And the dimensional kind of, the dimensional bleed, if you like, is to further the analogy, the fish is swimming in its pond. It looks up to the sky, and the sky is the top of the water. Right. It's still enough. It's now still enough for it to see our face just momentarily. It goes, oh, what was that? And I think maybe that's what happens in places like East Drive. Just there is a momentary kind of stop, a momentary kind of break in the shimmer, and we can just see them. But worryingly, they can see us in the way that we can see the fish. They can see us in the full. They can see everything, and they have the ability to interact between the dimensions, which is what happens to the domino, right? It gets like the fish's castle. You take it out of the water, and you drop it in at the other end of the pond. As far as the fish is concerned, the castle's just gone from there to there in a beat, but actually it's gone via a fourth dimension back into the pond. And I think that's what's happening with the domino.
Oh,
so, fascinating.
Don't mess with the master, whatever.
You can use his phrase at any time.
So if it's a fourth dimension, then Bill, would you, with that in mind, would you go and spend the night in East Drive?
No, it still terrifies me. Even if
was quicker. That came on the heels of you just taking that last breath when you asked him. That was quick.
He's been trying to get me in there for a long time, and whilst I want to believe that that's a rational explanation, it makes logical sense to me. It still means that there's something in that house that I have absolutely no awareness of. I don't know what it is, and I wouldn't walk through a forest at night because I think there might be something in there that might want to eat me. So I think to the same degree, I wouldn't want to spend the night in East Drive, because I think there's something in there that wants to certainly has the capability or the capacity of totally messing me up.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've had people carried out of 30 East Drive. I mean, literally carried out.
But they'd be
So
used to you. I understand the intelligence and the aggression behind the beings and such, but people they don't know, they're thrill seekers. But you're one that, let's face it, you allow them to be there for the most part.
yeah,
And you are
well,
somebody that they're used to. You would think, like, living in a haunted house, like the spirits here, even some of the more aggressive ones that used to be here, seemed almost protective in a way. Like we're just a
I
part
think
of the
that's
house.
I think that's such an interesting perspective, Michelle.
Part of the house.
Yeah,
Right?
a bit of me thinks that that might be true. I mean, whenever I go there, I always say, "Oh, hi, Fred.
Mm.
It's me. I'm back. How you doing? I hope everything's okay. Whatever you do, please don't freak me out because I don't think my heart can take it." And
Because Fred tries to freak you out.
yeah, and on more than one occasion he has, right?
There we go.
So I kind of my instinct is to want to believe that whatever's in the house does have a sort of an exchange with me that isn't overly aggressive. I mean, none of the objects that I was bombarded by hit me, right? Nothing.
Right.
There was
And
no
it could have.
physical. It absolutely could have,
Right.
to my mind. And the marble that travelled through the ceiling was travelling like a bullet. I mean, if that had hit
Wow.
me, it would have smarted. It would have hurt.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
But it would have.
Yes.
So it has never physically hurt me. But to your point, Michelle, we like to think about Jean Pritchard, who lived in the house after her husband died, Joe Pritchard, who died in the house, upstairs in the house, and her after he had died and after her children had moved on to new lives. She lived in the house. It must have been for another couple of decades, maybe 25 years on her own. Now we know from anecdotally that she only lived in 2 rooms. She lives in the kitchen and in, I think, one of the parents' room upstairs. She didn't really use much of the house, the bathroom, but she only really stayed in those places. But she was living in that house on her own, and one can only imagine that she must have found some sort of equilibrium with whatever it was to stay there for as long as she did. In fact, we dedicate the Black Monk of Pontefract book to Jean for living with a poltergeist longer than anyone. I mean, 50 years plus. She was there with a. I mean, we know it's in there. It's still there, so we can assume that she was literally living with this thing pottering around the house, or things pottering around the house.
Did you ever get to meet her, Bill?
Sadly not. I mean, we left her. We didn't bother the family too much when we made the movie. There was an agreement. We had an agreement with the family for us to make the movie, so we had the rights. But we didn't trouble them. They said, we don't want anything to do with this, so don't ask us for anything else. So we left it at that. And sadly, Jean died just this year, actually. So she so God bless her. But she must have been an absolutely incredible
tough
woman.
Cookie. One tough cookie.
I mean, I regret not meeting her, but a proper sort of matriarch. She would have been seriously tough, and I admire her for that. But way tougher than me, because I'm a complete chicken when it comes to spending the night.
We're going to do a real quick station and sponsor ID. We have our 2 sponsors, and then we're going to get to a couple questions. And then we'll
definitely, because they're piling up. I'm going to need a little assistance with the Facebook ones. So tonight you are listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and myself, Amelia Pisano. Our special guests all the way over the pond and just a little beyond are Barry Dodds and Bil Bungay tonight. We are live in the city, gorgeous city, beautiful city of New Orleans on 105.3 FM radio. We are streaming live right now at UFO Paranormal Radio and International Public Radio. We want to say thank you to our sponsors tonight. We are fully sponsored tonight and every night by the good people of Folgers Coffee. Folgers, we love you. We appreciate your support. Without you, we couldn't exist. Thank you so much. And I can read 2 questions. The Facebook one scrolled up. I'm 2 feet away, sadly, but I can read Wayne's here. And like I said, in the YouTube chat, I switched over to the other one. Okay, where did he go? He said, can you ask The domino that came at you could have come from another location through another dimension shift of sorts. Like a person throwing a rock into the water at a fish, the rock comes seemingly out of nowhere.
Absolutely, I think that's what happened, and that's really what I believe happened. What's also intriguing is that day, in fact, what's really fascinating is that of all the things that have happened to me in that house, there isn't one thing that I didn't have a connection with prior to it moving or being thrown. Everything I connected with before it occurred, and that's a fact. And that really intrigues me. So the domino I remember seeing on the sideboard. The people put trigger objects, and I remember looking at the domino going, oh, that's a trigger object. It was that domino that then wasn't there anymore and was now at my feet. My hat, I was wearing a hat on one occasion. I put it on my case. When I came back to my case, the hat was now on the sofa. The marble that came through the roof, I picked when that came through the ceiling. I was holding a marble, and I wasn't entirely sure whether it wasn't that marble that had come through the ceiling and it even found its way back into my hands. It was
Wow.
sort of, it's that kind of weirdness, and so many little things like that have occurred, but always with me having been in contact with the object first. So that's a sort of an interesting kind of sub sort of plot. But I absolutely think that that's what it is that these objects are going on a journey via a different dimension, and whatever's in that house has the intelligence to see, because I'm not commenting on these objects vocally, just to see that I've interacted with that thing. I mean, one occasion, it was the first time something in retrospect paranormal occurred to me. It was 2 a.m., bitterly cold outside. No one was out. I just sent a camera crew back to London, and I was just locking down, picking up litter and all the rest of it. And you're on high alert in that house. You really do know. You think about every move that you make. It's fascinating. And I went to shut the wrought iron gates at the back of the house, and I put a massive concrete block in front of them. I had to push it with my leg. It was a heavy thing. I scraped it along the ground, put it behind the gate, and I thought, that's it, it's good. I looked up and down the road. It was really quiet. I was on my own. I went to the back door. You can see the gate from the back door. My colleagues came out, and then I looked towards the gate, and it was open. One half was open 90 degrees. Now, there's no way that could have slipped. There's no way it could have popped out. The concrete block was very heavy. It had been pushed, and there was no one out. And I would have heard it. I would have heard it scrape. It was very quiet. It was 2 a.m.
Right.
And it was just suddenly went from, closed to 90 degrees open. The concrete block was just moved out of the way. And I thought, I mean, it properly put the hairs, it still does now.
That's pretty impressive. It's very difficult for a spirit to move. It has to be something more powerful to be able to move something that heavy.
Yeah, that is a powerful something, a powerful entity, if you like. But the point I'm making is that I had just touched the gate. I had just shut the gate.
Right.
And so it's almost as if it's watching you. And I think it knows why you're there, which again opens up all sorts of interesting kind of, dimensional events or, other theories as to what's occurring. Theories about the very nature of reality, actually, which it gets pretty deep if you want to go there.
But it does. It does. I don't think we have enough time left in the show.
No, we really don't.
But it would make for an interesting other show to discuss that. Then you get into your whole, matrix theory and stuff like that.
Well, manifesting worlds that we live in, and it strikes me as if even looking at this screen, just looking at the environments that you're in, and the way that you present yourselves and the way that you look, it strikes me as if each of our environments is entirely applicable to us. It's
Mhm.
not. We're not living in inappropriate environments. They all look very appropriate to me,
Mhm.
according to our mindset, our outlook on life, and the things that we want to experience. So that's just a slight kind of taster as to what I think's going on. You could. I mean, we're here to talk about the Parapod, a very British ghost hunt, but you can read the
Absolutely.
Black Monk of Pontefract. You can get it on Amazon, and
Yes.
we get into some of those themes. It's super interesting.
Mm.
It's not just a book of events. There's a lot more to it than that. So,
Yes, and
No,
the
absolutely.
Americans will recognize Richard as that, as well as the Canadians. So if you're interested in reading that book, you can find all of his books on Amazon, and you can get the full story and read it at your leisure.
And actually, on that note, we put in QR codes. The first fully interactive print book,
Yes.
to our knowledge, in the world.
Yes.
I've never seen anyone else do it, which means you can scan QR codes as you read. You can see the videos and see the photos and see the evidence that we've gathered, and so it makes it a super interesting read. You can go and buy the book after you've watched the Parapod, a very British ghost hunt, because your interest will be piqued.
Yes. I mean, you guys that love to listen and watch us every week, we definitely give this a 5-star.
Oh yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Give
Very
it
welcome.
10 if you went on a little longer. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
I
kidding.
know. But I mean, I have to say, like, one of my favorite scenes, and it's not trying to be shallow, but one of my favorite scenes did take, place at your home or your house, and it was a telephone scene. I have to say, the whole time I'm going. Remember when you were at 30 East Drive and the telephone? I don't want to give away too much, and I'm just sitting here, and as it goes along, I'm like,
it's hilarious.
Such an asshole. But I'm just
it was so mean.
I was like, oh my god, I just love this guy. I know, it was funny. I was almost in tears. I have to say, I was almost in tears. I'm like, I would hate somebody did that to me on an investigation. Just saying, but it was priceless. It was gold.
Yeah, I think you can hear my my fear in that scene. I think I expressed that well in my language.
That was heartbreaking to watch too. So I'm like, oh my
Amelia's very empathic and sympathetic. Not that I'm not, but I do appreciate it.
So funny.
It's one of those ball and chain gifts that I have, but yeah.
I know. But as an investigator, you tend to, things have to be done a certain way. You have to secure your location. You don't want things happening. You want to know that when something does happen, you can either explain it away or you can't explain it away. So, I'm pretty strict when I have a team. My team would always, this was when I investigated before I got more into media, but it was just a matter of like, I didn't have to say anything. Everybody knew what they had to do or not do. So when you're with somebody, like when you're doing this film and it's like, all right, and it goes completely against what you say, it's just like, what the hell did happen? What the hell did I just say? So I really sympathized with you a lot, Barry, going through this because I was feeling the frustration.
Yeah. I mean, it starts, and we can mention this because it's in the trailer, but it starts off on an ominous foot, doesn't it? When Ian turns up with the hearse
in the car, yeah.
I loved your steering wheel. I'm just gonna say, I want one.
Yeah.
When that car rolled up, I went.
Got it in his garage.
Still got it,
No, that car rolled up. I went, oh, it's going to be one of those. This is going to be great. I know.
I messaged Michelle when I first started watching. I'm like, is this a comedy? I thought we were watching a documentary. Like, and then she's like, just watch. Just watch.
We'll talk later.
It's like, okay, I got to drop the onions. The soup's got to wait. I've got to get into, because I didn't want to leave the movie, the film. I didn't mind leaving the dinner, but I don't want to move. I don't want to leave the film. I hate it to. I
Oh,
don't like
wow.
to pause things, especially
No,
when
once
they're
you start, you have to stick with
well
it.
that
so.
and you know, to give respect to your work in your craft. It was very important for me to watch it beginning to end, so you don't miss bits by constantly putting it on pause. I really want to watch it again if that's okay. I really do. I'm like,
Well,
it's so good.
you must, and in fact, when we first previewed the movie at the Prince Charles in just off Leicester Square in London, people were laughing so much at the gags they missed half of them.
It's true. You have to see it twice.
You actually do need to see it
continual
twice.
laughing. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you really couldn't hear half of the gags because people were just in stitches. So so which is such a joy, to see, after so much effort. Both Ian and Barry, but Ian in particular really bust his backside to get this thing done. And so, it's such a shame he can't join us today. But it would have been so great for your viewers to
we just have to do it again.
We'll have to do it again.
Just have to do it
It would be nice to have the dynamic of the three of you, and once they see the film, I think they're just going to want to meet all of you all over again.
I think that's probably a good time to bring you back on, is when it's played everywhere, and this way here, you can freely and openly
talk about it. I mean, that's the thing, obviously, with what's happened in the world. Obviously there was the time making it, and then the time in post production, and then the big pause that got put on the world. But we've managed to stay tight-lipped, over it for so long. To not spoil it for anyone. And now, as it's slowly starting to come out, through the cinema screenings we've been doing, and then it gets released in the UK, on all the streaming platforms next Monday, and then in November it comes out in the US, and then when it's out there, then we can talk about it and we can relax then and talk about it, and not having to constantly.
There we go.
There we go. There's the poster.
I've got the poster.
Yeah, we can see it. There we go, everybody.
Wayne said, I love it already. I got to love a funeral coach. I wonder why, Mr. Hearst
used to have a beautiful funeral coach. Went with the house.
Detected in the USA.
Trumpet. He even gave you a mouth trumpet.
No, the mouth trumpet went back to being.
That's 30 East Drive. Look.
That's
30 East Drive.
Is it?
That's 30 East Drive.
Well, that's right. That's right. It looks even more ominous.
Yeah,
I didn't think it could be more ominous, but there it is.
Yeah, there it is. So that's what you got to look out for when you go onto iTunes or whatever you're streaming from.
So where is it going to stream from?
So it's going to be iTunes. It's going to be on Google Play. It's on Sky Store. It's on Amazon. It's on Rakuten. Rakuten, the one, the red one.
Sounds like a condition. What is that?
Rakuten.
What is it?
Rakuten.
It's okay. They had a whole marketing theme just before they opened, and giving away money if people could say it right the first time in these booths and having them on camera. I'm not lying, for 3 months. Yeah. Because nobody could pronounce it. So don't feel that. I only know because someone actually was corrected. Yeah, there's a question from Zachman. I have one question. That's all you're allowed, Zach. I'm kidding. Have they found any portals at the Black Monk house? If so, approximately how many are there? Inanimate objects appearing out of thin air, or just interests me. Can't wait for November to see it.
Oh, fantastic! Well, I guarantee you will love this movie. You will not be disappointed. So that's the guarantee. But in answer to your question, we think there's at least 2 portals, possibly 3. There's one at the sort of, I believe it's that people are really specific. I mean, not that I would know, but I think, is it the 3rd step from the bottom on the stairs, Barry?
Hi, Ian. We miss you. He said you're all bonkers.
He's in the YouTube chat.
Ian?
Yes, Ian's in the YouTube chat. If you guys go look up at the top of your screen where it says comments. Click on the comments. Okay, you can see everybody's comments. Go all the way to the bottom, and that's where Ian is.
Ian! Hey!
You're all bonkers.
Oh,
can't
that's
hear
so
you.
cool.
No, actually,
Wankers.
he could. Oh my gosh, we have to have you on, Ian. You were
Yes.
such a joy to watch, and we love your work. We're
You're all
really,
bonkers.
really impressed by the film.
Here we go.
At least they didn't call us wankers.
I've been saying wanker all night.
You will now.
You will now.
Excellent. Excellent. Join on in anytime, Ian.
There you go.
No,
Thank you.
yeah, I think it's fascinating. So when you guys decided, okay, we're going to do this, was there specific locations, like the locations you chose without giving it away? What was it about, aside, I mean, from 30 East Drive, which isn't obvious, what drew you to the other locations? Because they're pretty fascinating places.
Well, yeah, it was kind of like drawing up a wish list, really, of places where I'd love to go with a camera crew, and because normally when I've been to a lot of these places, it's where they're like on public events and things like that. So all of a sudden, I was being given the option to. Thanks, Ian.
Has he said it?
Yeah, no, he said, "Thank you. I'm hoping this illness is going to kill me, so I can stop talking to Barry."
Poor Barry.
Will that be your next film, and how to get rid of the body?
Yeah, we'll just bring
ideas.
we'll just seance you into the next movie, Ian. So that's
So
it.
that could be
You're not going to
interesting.
escape.
The skeptic comes back as a ghost to torment his buddy. That's interesting. So
Imagine that conversation.
Bucket list locations. So I'm sure there's quite a few. I've been to the UK, and it's like, where do you start, and you never finish.
Yeah. So it was just like a wish list of places that I'd always wanted to go to. Like the ancient Ram had always been a place that
Yes.
that I'd always really wanted to go to. I'd been in the vaults before, and I'd been blown away by them.
Yes.
I'd also wanted to go to visit the woods in Pluckley, at night, and it was just putting a list together. Are we all just now in the YouTube comments? Right, I think we are now. Yeah.
I'm sorry, he's sort of hogging the stream. I only
Yeah,
trademarked they're knackered without me.
Well,
Okay. Sorry, it's kind of hard not to catch
I
you
knew-
just zinging
I
by.
always thought knackered meant tired, so that means you're screwed too.
Yeah,
I
that's what it
always
really means.
thought when I said I'm so knackered, like I'm exhausted. I know Shattered is exhausted.
So,
Yeah, there we go. Look, Wayne says the next film will be trying to reach Ian in the afterlife. There's no escape, Ian. There's no escape.
no escape. No. Jenny says, put him in the wall.
Put him in the wall.
Like the cat. I don't know. So
And some crisps to get you through.
ask Barry about his hat, please. That's from Ian. Ask Barry about his hat, please.
Oh my god!
I'm wearing a hat. I'm wearing a hat because I've got bed head, because I've previously been in bed for 4 hours before this and set an alarm to go off at 2 a.m. And so I've got my hat on because my hair's a mess.
Can't see it because you have a black background, so it doesn't show. But if
There you
Ian
go.
would like to,
You win.
engage and show us his hair, we can send him a link.
No.
Yeah, come and join in,
I
Ian.
had 3 brothers. There's nothing you can say to me that'll.
Do you want to come in, Ian? You don't have to come on camera if you don't want to. The guy, you could just send him forward the email I sent you with the link. That link will work.
Yeah.
There you go. Just come in. We've got another 20 minutes or so.
Very cool.
Okay.
I'm doing that now. Chat amongst yourselves.
There you go.
Yeah.
Our third
He
host
must
is
be
bringing in
feeling
the
really
guests.
crappy.
So
That's
just good.
okay.
Yeah, I'll bring him in as soon as he comes in. So that's funny. So there's no I mean, let's face it, there's no shortages of locations. If you guys like, are you planning a sequel? Because I mean, it sounds to
Ooh,
me like this is
Michelle. Now you've done it,
wow.
haven't you? Now you've done it. Well, I
You
mean,
know,
listen. I think what we've made is so unique.
right,
I think it's exceptional. I think it's certainly the best movie that I've been involved with. I've been so blessed to have met the boys, and the output is so good that I'm
right.
confident that we will get to make a second one. And the only thing I'll need to do is twist Ian's arm because I think he's done with it. But
Because yeah, they
but we're
know how
gonna make.
poorly I am.
We have to make a second because the kind of the subtext here is we are taking everyone on a journey of all these, as Ian would say, allegedly haunted locations,
Right.
and so it is an opportunity
Mhm.
for paranormal fans to travel the world and visit these these locations without the kind of movie razzmatazz. This is not us setting anything up, so we're
Mhm.
visiting all these cool locations, but still with the objective of proving to Ian that this is real. And
It's pretty
so
much raw and unfiltered. It's not
it's
scripted.
there's no scripting, and I think we will have
Nice.
the courage to go again without a script, which then then means if this works and we can at least get our money back, which would be great,
Mhm.
then we will shoot in Europe next. That's the plan, because there's some
Ooh.
incredible locations in
Oh, I
Europe.
could send you a list, like
Oh
many,
well, I
many.
mean, please do. We
Absolutely.
you can become a special advisor on the side, Michelle. Get your credit. And
Woohoo! Yeah, I'm
There's one
down.
place in Europe that would probably get me to do it, which
Oh,
is
Paveglia,
can you
yeah,
tell what it is? Which one?
Paveglia. Yeah,
Oh, yes, of
yeah,
course. My daughter was
yeah.
just a stone's throw from it, and she calls me. She goes, "Okay, I'm looking right at Pavaglia right now." I'm going, "Okay,
yeah.
you have to get over there." She goes, "I don't know." She goes, "I can't find a boat to take me. No locals will take me to the island." I'm like, "Up the ante. How much do they want?" She goes, "Do you realize that you're sending your child into this terrible place?
Yeah,
How are you feeling? You okay? You can do it."
yeah.
The researcher and the parent, like, never mind, you're like 24, get in there. It's like,
Oh,
you know,
I've seen some incredible things in Paveglia, and I'm actually.
Povelia. Sorry, guys, you're killing me
Is
with
it
the butcher.
Pavaglia? It's because I'm not in any
Povelia.
time.
I
Pavaglia.
would say
Pavaglia.
I've always said Pavalia, but I thought Bill had the correct pronunciation, so I just
He
went
is
along with
he
it.
is
Don't
not
listen to
I had
pronounced
Delvin.
in front of an L. It's
the British.
Povelia. And my mother used to threaten me with that as a kid. That if I
Ah,
misbehaved, she was gonna send me to the island of Povelia.
That's almost as
Pavaglia.
bad as the mongoose story.
Yeah, yeah. Watch out.
Yeah.
Hardcore parents.
Yeah, you're not allowed there. They've closed it off to the public because of the health hazards.
I heard it
It's
was
been locked
actually
down for a few
purchased,
years.
though. It was
Yeah,
Yeah,
but they
actually
but
can't
people do.
open it without cleaning it.
Yeah, I mean, people do
Well,
sneak
Zach
in there, don't
Bagans has
they?
been over, hasn't he?
Yeah, yeah, he has. I've
Hmm.
seen some incredible things there. I mean, I suppose the only question there would be, I find it, I mean, given the things that happen there, I find it pretty amazing. I would find it pretty amazing if we went there and nothing happened. I mean,
Mhm.
I would be, it would be, it would be beyond bizarre. I think if nothing happened, it's just happening all over the place on that island.
Mhm.
So the only question is, I think the plan would be the third movie would be for us to go around worldwide, right? So America, who knows, South
I can hook you
America,
up.
some,
That's where you want to
yeah,
go.
your house.
You're all
Um,
welcome to my house. Wayne and I are welcome
uh,
with open arms.
but
Absolutely.
so Pavalia might have to be the
Coins.
last one
Bring a
because
hat.
I think, yeah, because I'm slightly worried that we'll flip in Pavalia and that'll be it. We'll just get two and that'll be job done. So
Mhm.
we need to be careful.
Yeah,
We
choose
can't switch in
wisely.
too early, otherwise it's game over, isn't it?
No, it's true. Choose
So
wisely. There's a lot of really amazing places throughout Europe. Some
yeah,
places that just, I mean, everything has pretty much been done. Places are limited, and there's so many paranormal teams out there now, and everybody wants to film a show. And but I'll tell you, if you have a different angle, so you can make it all fresh again.
Yeah.
You can still go to these same locations and make it something completely different that no one has ever done or seen. And that is talent, because so many places have been done, you know. I mean, I think, you know, some of the shows even coming out of the UK is instrumental for putting the paranormal really out into like a whole other generation. You know, it started with, you know, the show that you were talking about earlier, Barry. You know, you and I are talking about the same show, which I know of it. But I think they brought that back. But again, you run out of places, you know, when they're concentrating primarily on the UK, there's loads of them. But when you have 10 seasons, you're going to hit them all up eventually. And then everybody goes abroad. And, you know, so I think if you really, you know, give it your own flair, so to speak, it's just almost like, you know, no one's ever done it.
Yeah.
There's places I'd love to go in the States. Like I'd love to Bobby Mackey's somewhere.
I think you should research that before you go there.
Oh, really? Why?
There's controversy with it being yes or no, and I know a bishop that's gone in there to do, you know, a blessing in there and almost an exorcism in there, and then there's people that will say there's nothing there. So just really get into all the video clips that are out there and the shows that are out there, because it's been heavily covered. But if you just want to do it as an experience for yourself.
Yeah. Do you know what's at the bottom of the well? Because I know they've got a well in there.
Of the well.
With the portal to hell. The portal to hell, allegedly, in the bottom of the well.
Not like stuck like one of those dino rod cameras down it to have a look and see where it goes.
Trust me, Google it and all the shows will come up so that you see that you're not repeating anything, because it would be nice to see a different.
He's just slapping you around tonight.
Is he? I can't see it. I thought to hold my hair back.
It's getting a little harsh. Somebody's feeling a little ornery.
Very research. Oh. Apparently you don't do any research, he's saying.
I have a friend who owns a haunted hotel in northern U.S., Pennsylvania, New York border. Very haunted, and it does not disappoint. Like, I've never been there and not had experiences. Ever. And
where's that?
Why is that, or where is that?
No, where is that?
Oh, it's upstate, borders New York and Pennsylvania. And it's a wonderful location. In fact, I think this coming weekend they're doing the world's largest ghost hunt. It's one of their regular locations, and it, like I said, does not disappoint. So I know she would love you, because she's very delightful and she's a very good hostess, and she would welcome you in there, and you can stay there and check it out.
She feeds you too.
Not overdone.
She feeds you, just saying.
She feeds you. Not overdone. It's one of those locations that it's very, you know, not just everybody can get in. She doesn't open her doors to just anyone.
It would be nice to see someone refreshing like you go in there. That's what we're trying to say.
The hotel
Give it the respect it deserves.
It brings out
the
your
respect
secrets.
it deserves. Yeah.
The hotel will bring out your secrets. The hotel has a way of bringing out people's personalities. It's very strange.
I'm going to stop right there.
Yeah, there's a lot of connections with it that things just sort of.
What does Amelia know about this hotel?
Something I shouldn't know. But anyways, I'm not going to put it out there. I could get sued. But anyways, not about her.
No,
it's not about her. No, we
love we can't go. That's a whole other situation. But
no, we love her.
The hotel kind of just brought something to the forefront with some people that were staying there at one point. It was like, wow, you would not want that getting out. That's how we're going to leave that right there. So it's very interesting. It's a very interesting building. You can ask for things, and if you ask properly, it will give it to you. I'm not talking like $1 million or anything like that. I'm just talking about it just has a way of, you know, I can only say so much on air, but it really is a remarkable place. If you guys make it to this side of the world, I would definitely see, if she would be willing to open her doors to you, which I'm sure she would, because it's just such, the way you guys come across with this, it's just such a fun thing. It's so unique, and it takes away from the normal, everything has to be terrifying. But the way the poor Barry was going on, I don't know. Just,
You have to get into the U.S. first, though.
I
You'd
know.
have to
This
get
is
in
true.
there first right now.
That's a whole other thing.
Yeah, it's a
Well,
whole other thing trying to get there. He said, whilst I have you, would either of you be happy to post me stuff we can't get over here from America and Canada, mark it as gifts so I can avoid customs? Absolutely. I'll do
Sure,
that
no
for you. You
problem.
are not the first person I'd be doing that for. I'm just
No.
letting you know. I
Yeah.
ship Canadian chocolate all over the U.S.
I'm literally at the border. Just saying.
Yeah.
We're trying to sell a
I'm literally
movie
at the
here.
border.
Ian.
We could float it over the river.
What are you looking for? Maple syrup, chocolate, real
Sure.
potato chips?
Amelia's known for sending chocolate to everybody.
Yeah, but I'm sending their chocolate. I'm sending Cadbury
is
from
true.
England to the
You guys already
Americans.
have the best chocolate.
Yeah. I order it from England and I send it to the Americans because they can't get
Mainly-
Cadbury in the US.
Mainly haunted mansion stuff, weirdly. We have a haunted mansion. What do you want? I really don't
What do you want?
give up my
She's got a
stuff,
whole
but-
market page if you want to buy stuff off of her.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't normally part with my haunted possessions, but what
No,
are you
but
into?
maybe-
Dare I ask?
Maybe he'll be interested in an Oddfellows couch.
Two. Yeah, it's like 300 pound, 8 foot long. Let's just ship that over to England.
You need a shipping container for that one.
I have shipped stuff over to England. Let me tell you what. It's like, it's
There you
expensive.
go, Ian. She can send you some photos. She has thrones and chairs.
What do you want? Taxidermy, human skulls, what? Bones. He's like, why did I ask? Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Well,
as in Disney Haunted Mansion.
I know what you were talking about. Yes, we could help you. No
Yeah,
problem.
not a problem.
Not my haunted mansion, no.
Just-
It's like,
Just
okay.
really happy that 3 million people just heard us make a deal on air. But thanks, Ian.
Is this a setup?
Well,
Oh, like the
Time
customs
before you can start
border
offering to send
hate me.
photos.
Border agents can't stand me. So it was only a matter of time before you started offering to send photos.
It's going to turn into one of those shows, right? You know, we're
is,
family
isn't it?
show, right?
well, it's 4 in the morning. It's
It
been an
is.
absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank
tell,
you.
Tell, us,
Yeah,
tell
it's time
everybody.
to go.
This is really where we do end off.
We do
you're
end up
just
this
stealing
way,
the
yes.
show. So tell everybody how to get a hold of you guys, your website. This is the part where you promote yourself.
Oh my.
Go to theparapod.com
Right.
and you will find everything that you need to know there.
Okay.
Ian is, we're all on Twitter and things like that. There's at the Parapod on Twitter, and Ian's at Infinite Hermit, and I'm at Barry_Dodds. And I don't know if Bill's on Twitter.
I'm not. No, I don't tweet, but
Oh, you don't tweet.
I'll just look out for the poster
Yes.
Yes.
on your VOD platform, whatever that is, and
Yes.
pre-order, get it all teed up so you don't forget. And it's just after Halloween, right? We're coming out so November in
There
the
we
US.
go, people.
And let us know what you think. We're so proud that we're getting pretty much 5-star reviews right across the board. So spread the word for us, because we're all advocates and we're all passionate about this. What's he saying now?
Sorry.
What's he said?
I would like to promote Don't Buy Bill's Daft book. I know what daft means. That's sad.
I'm trying to keep a straight face, but he's totally. Do you want a job, Ian? I want to come work on this side of the world for a while.
He's not helping.
I know.
Oh my God, he's hilarious.
Well, guys, thank you for joining us. I know it's late over there. Poor Barry is going to fall over, but it was a lot of fun. You guys were a hoot, and I would like to do this again with the three of you. once everything is aired, maybe the beginning of the year and everything's played out, we get, some of the reviews in and you can speak freely if you guys would be into it. We could always do a pre-record if this is too late for you.
That'll be
like, yeah.
That'll be superb. And if I may, I wish Ian well. He's clearly his spirit isn't broken yet, which is a blessing. So get well, Ian. Lots of rest, and let's all get together when we're through the release. It'd be great.
I think that is a fantastic idea. So. Yes, Amelia?
2 comments from the chat room. Zachman, of course. Thank you for joining us, Barry and Bill. Please come back. You guys are a riot. Have a good night, everybody, and have a great weekend. Wayne Mello says, congratulations. I can't wait to see it. Thank you so much for staying awake and sharing so much with us. And, of course, Ian wrote, probably best if I do it on my own, so let's do that.
But he's a media hog.
You can find me on Skype. And oh my God.
Thank you for the kind words, not Bill.
Honestly.
Good night, everyone.
Cheers, guys. Spread the word.
Guys, thank you.
Definitely. Thank you, guys. Have a safe weekend.
You're very welcome. Take care, girls. Nice to speak to you.
Good night.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Well, we have come to the end of another amazing segment here on The Outer Realm. Huge thank you to everybody in chat. Thank you, Ian Bolesworth, for popping in and enlightening us with your presence. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you to Bill and Barry. Thank you to our producer, Joe Montaldo. Huge thank you to Folgers Coffee for sponsoring the show. Really huge thank you also to Dr. Snick, aka Justin Snicker, for providing us with your music and your voice for our new intro and outro. Please remember to stop by United, and I should tongue tie it again, UFO, Paranormal Radio, and International Public Radio YouTube channels to subscribe. Find us over on the Outer Realm Facebook. Please show us some love. You want to drop us a line, please go to the outerrealmcontact@gmail.com, the outerrealmcontact@gmail.com. Next Wednesday brings Sean Williamson back to the show. He will be discussing more on his continued research of the Knights Templar. And Thursday night welcomes George Artson to the show for the first time. And he will be discussing UFOs and their connection to spirituality. Yes, indeed. So until then, Amelia and I thank you. Have a good night and a fantastic, safe weekend.
You have been listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, airing live every Wednesday and Thursday evening, 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 to 10 p.m. Central, on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.